Hello and welcome to the Creabea Knitting Podcast. Hello, welcome back. I have been gone for a little while, but I'm excited to be back with you today, talk about some finished objects, maybe just one work in progress, share some exciting news, and talk about a lot of yarn. That's kind of the plan for today. I've been on an accidental hiatus, but more on that in a little while. And I'm very excited to sit down and chat all things knitting. I've got a little stack of finished objects, I've got a little discount code going out today, I've got a huge box of yarn next to me to talk about, and like I said, I have a little bit of exciting news. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I guess we should start, actually, before we start with what I'm wearing, I'm going to start with what happened last week, which is that I released a pattern, and I have never, in the 3 years since I started designing, released a pattern without having a podcast go out on the same day. And I felt really guilty about it. So I thought I would talk about it now, and what I've done is that usually there's a discount code of the weekend it went live. There was a discount code last weekend, it went out on Instagram, but what I thought I would do is reactivate that discount code for this weekend, and we can just pretend that it's also a pattern launch weekend, and if anyone on YouTube missed that, you can use it again now. So the pattern which released last weekend is called CRAIL, and it is just like a delightful cable explosion. It's a mega pattern, so I've got 3 of my samples here to talk about, and I'll talk about each of them, and then yeah, the discount code is CRAIL10, I'll put that down below as well. It's on Ravelry at my website. So this was the very first one. This is the cardigan, although I will say this is more like a jacket, I think, than a cardigan. It is this just sea of honeycomb cables, and it's sort of framed by a singular cable braid. It's got a really fun raglan detail where you pull up a stitch from the stitch below. It's not a raglan I had done before. And I finished this version off with these duffel buttons, and I think that they just make the whole cardigan. I cast this on last November, so it was almost 12 months from concept to execution, and I love this thing. I knit this version in Pura Lana Peruvian Highland wool held with a strand of mohair. Now you can get gauge without the mohair, quite a few testers did, but I used mohair, and it really, that's I think where that like jacket feel has come from. It's a very dense fabric, which I love, but did obviously make it a little bit pricier. After that then, what order did I knit them in? I'm not sure. I then have a vest. This is the vest. Oh, it's in a bit of a mess. Still in a bit of a mess. Come on, Rebecca, you're an expert at this. Why can I not hold this up straight? There we go. Kind of. Kind of. This is the vest version. It's also a button-up vest. Now there is also a slip over, which is a term that I was back and forth about the term, but the vest has buttons and the slip over has no buttons. So it's very similar to the cardigan. It's got a fun little shoulder increase detail, which I stole from the Lauder pattern, which is another one of my all-over cable patterns. And again, it has duffel buttons, and I love this. I've been getting a lot of wear of this one. And then last but not least is the sweater, which is honestly just, I feel like every knitter wants to knit a really classic cable knit at some point. Maybe I'm wrong, but for me, I remember I used to work all through high school in this shoe shop. And it was a family run shoe shop, and there were a group of women that worked there, and one of the women knit cable knit sweaters for her partner, and I just remember being completely in awe of her. I could not believe that the things, like, she knit the things he wore, and this is absolutely in that category. So it's a lot of these beautiful honeycomb cables. It's a very simple 2x2 cable, and then it's some moss stitch under the arm, and it's a raglan. So that is CRAIL. Now, not only is CRAIL a mega pattern with 4 in 1, it's also my last full-size adult garment pattern release of the year, which feels kind of weird. I don't know why it feels so odd, but it feels kind of strange. I've still got my charity patterns and some kids patterns to come, but until January there will not be any more adult garments, wearables. So there we go, that is CRAIL. It's named after a harbour town in Fife, a real like fisherman's town, and I just feel like classic cables and like fisherman town went hand in hand. So yeah, it's there, and if you completely missed out on it, I'm sorry that I didn't podcast last week, but the discount is still live if you wanted to get it now. and it's our secret. I'm not sharing it on Instagram or putting it anywhere else. I'm just telling you in the YouTube video that code is live again. So that is CRAIL. That is the big thing that I missed last week. Now let me jump into, where should I go from here? I feel like the elephant in the room is what I'm wearing. So this also relates to some of my whips, but let me talk about this and we'll come back to it. This is probably one of the things I'm most proud of ever making. I adore it. It is called the Lynx sweater, Links, and it is a beautiful argyle drop shouldered sweater. So for this, I did color work flat. It's also got argyle across the back shoulder, across the front, and then you join in the round, and there's one more repeat down here, and then they match up with the repeats on the arms. I am obsessed with this sweater. I love it. I want it in 5 more colours when I can finally find some space in my needles to make it in 5 more colours. So let's talk about it. It is named Lynx because it is a little bit golfy, and I will be perfectly honest and tell you I know nothing about golf, except for there are a lot of golf courses in Scotland, and a Lynx course is a type of course, I gather, which is close to the sea. It's like a certain part of like sandy land between the land and the ocean. It's not like the ocean in Scotland, it's just the sea. And so the Lynx golf courses are very, very common in Scotland. And it's a term that's used quite a lot, I think, where there were previous golf courses. So like there's a big park in Leith where I used to live in Edinburgh called Leith Links. Musselburgh down the course has got a Musselburgh Links, and it's just a generally like kind of golfy term, but also a very widely used term for a piece of land. And so it felt very fitting. So this is a DK weight pattern. It's like a 22 stitch gauge. I used these 2 beautiful colours for this. I think the purple is showing up pretty well. It's Pura Lana pure Gynt, Tynn pure Gynt with Mohair. Is that right? It is right. The Mohair for the purple is actually Pura Lana. Mohair, it was a really good colour match. I cannot remember the colour, something like maybe boysenberry or something. And dark burgundy is the Mohair, and then this is in the regatta blue. I love it. I feel so cool wearing this. Like I feel like a cool girl, which is a fun way to feel. And I love it. Now it took a couple of attempts. My original plan was to make a raglan. And the reason for that is that I think colour work flat is very daunting to some people, and it was very daunting to me until I did it and realised I quite like doing it and it's not that hard. And I thought, okay, if I do a raglan, then I could do like an option with a raglan and a drop shoulder. And then I decided actually I knit the raglan and a few things happened. Firstly, the motifs, I did 3 motifs and they were just way too crowded. It was too much, and it would have been a challenging grading project to do the raglan and to fit those 3 motifs in a way that didn't look like the 3 motifs would have worked from like the middle size upwards, but it would have struggled to like condense them down the way. So I couldn't get mirroring the argyle over the raglan worked for some sizes but not all sizes, and I didn't want to like sacrifice that. So I'd always planned for a drop shoulder, and I thought, let me do the drop shoulder one now, and that's what I did, and I love it so much. So I don't know, like a dark grey and white, or like a brown and a cream. There's so many colours I want this in, ultimately. So yeah, it is currently, it will be the next pattern that will go into testing, but that won't be until the end of November. And I still have a little bit of work to do because, unsurprisingly, there are multiple samples or like multiple options, and more on that to come when I get to my works in progress. Because I've got 2 more finished objects first. So let me talk about my other 2 finished objects. Did I cover everything here? I think so. I think I covered it all. I hope so. I love it so much. I'm trying not to wear it because I have quite a long time until the pattern won't come out until 2026, so it's gonna be a while till like the pattern comes out, and more to follow, but I will not have a huge bit of time to fix anything if I screw up the sample. So it's only getting worn for very special occasions. I wore it to a family event last weekend and I've worn it today, and after this it's getting put away for a little while because I'm so worried I'll do some damage to it. Although I'm going to the Netherlands the last weekend of November, this might be coming with me because I just love it so much. It'll depend on the weather. Okay, 2 more finished objects. So the first one I was working on the last time we spoke It is this very cute little short sleeved grey cardigan. So this is also a pattern in the works. This is a pattern called Solace, and it is the next edition in the Toasta T family. It's the same gauge and it's technically a summer pattern, but somebody came to Knit Night wearing a very cute, I think it was a Maggie cardigan, which is like a very cute short sleeved grey cardigan, and I thought, I want a short sleeved grey cardigan because that looks so fun. So I made one. So it's different. The Maggie cardigan I think has a European shoulder, which is where there's like a little line, you work the back and then the front comes around. I think this is a simultaneous set-in sleeve. I talked about this a lot in the summer because I made quite a few samples in the summer. So it's got a very, very clean sleeve line. And what's really fun about this is that whilst it looks like a set-in sleeve, right? There's the sleeve cap, but you don't actually work a set-in sleeve. This line is a bit like a raglan line where you're increasing along this line. It's so fun to work. They're so fun to knit up. I feel like it might be my new favourite thing. Like, I think I like this more than raglan now, which is just so fun. I used Gepard Pura Lana and Kid Silk Mohair. That is the combination I use for my Afric sweater, and I love that fabric. And then I used the same fabric to make a Toasta tank, and I still had some grey left over, so I think I had to buy maybe like 2 extra skeins and a little bit of mohair. It was kind of scrappy, but also I did have to buy some yarn, so not that scrappy. But it's been super fun. It feels very like cutesy, something about the short sleeves. And then I put these, I mean, they're plastic buttons. I find it hard to put metal buttons on my knits because I was really pulling that button band there. I find if I put metal buttons on, like if I had a metal button up here, this would just flop all the time because it's so heavy. And I know you can do things like put ribbons behind it, but I just put on plastic buttons. So they have these little like faux pearls on them. So it feels very classy with my plastic buttons. Yeah, it's very cute. So this pattern, I think is already, I was so organised that my tech editor and grader already has the pattern. So it's going to have, what has it got? It's got a t-shirt, a Henley and a cardigan. And I think and long and short sleeves, which is fun. So I guess I just added another sample, and I think it'll be surprising if I get through the whole winter without making one more of these. I have the yarn to make one. I just can't decide if it's going to be a sweater or a cardigan. The thing is, I don't really wear my cardigans open. I always wear them buttoned up, but I love the look of a buttoned up cardigan. But it's so much more work. So like, but then I like having like the top few buttons open like this, with a little camisole and then my necklace hanging down. So it does have to be a cardigan so I can knit a button band, but ultimately I wear them buttoned up. So it's a lot of extra work purling all that just to wear it buttoned up all the time. Which is a little bit daft, I guess. And I've got one more finished object. Well, it's a bit of a cheats finished object because I didn't actually finish it myself. So I have had a whip for a long time. Over a year for sure. Which is a striped version of my Lanarch. So this is what it looks like. I wore it out today to go grab some groceries. And I am obsessed with this. It is so cozy and it is so warm. And I love the striping. It's such like a crispy, clean stripe line. So I sewed the zipper in this morning. It's also a really nice zipper. It's like a gold zipper, which I don't think I've used for a Lanarch before. So this is a pattern that's been out for 2.5 years. Although it's currently getting a facelift. Now it's had a facelift once before. Maybe I should use the term facelift. Facelift's a bit meh. It's getting a revamp. It's getting a review because I think I'm going to add mask sizing to it. So currently it's graded to a women's size chart, but like has been knit very widely for men because it's got so much extra room to it. But I do think I currently have another pattern in testing which has a male fit and a female fit. And I think Lanarch's getting the same treatment. And I also shared in the last episode, it's up there somewhere, I finished a stockinette Lanarch, and so there's also a stockinette Lanarch going into testing. I have no idea when. End of November as well? Do I have that many Tesco? I've got a lot of Tesco getting in November. But I have got a stockinette version in the works, and because I just find that like the current pattern, there's nothing wrong with the current pattern, but it's not really written the way I now write patterns, and the branding is still what I was using when I first started writing, which is completely, there's nothing wrong with the branding. But I thought I would give it another look over. So there is going to be a bit of a review coming. Not any number change, just an extra fit option, so a masculine fit option, and then a stockinette version. And I'm not going to release it as a separate pattern, I'm going to add it to the existing pattern. Very roundabout way of saying I've got a new sample. So I cast this on literally years ago, and I think I got to like here. I think I got to like below the second stripe, and I just struggled a little bit to work with this, and it's because it's a very rustic, very like bouncy yarn. It's Briggs & Little Regal, which is a yarn from a mill in Canada. It's a very affordable, like workhorse kind of yarn. I've not tried the rest of the Briggs & Little range, but I do think the people who knit with it really rave about it. And I think this would be perfect for stockinette. I just didn't enjoy the process of working with it in half fisherman's rib. It wasn't really for me, and I kept putting it off because I didn't love the experience of working with it so much. And then I decided I was a bit sick of having it sitting around and me never touching it. So I reached out to one of my sample knitters who made my last Lanarch and said, hey, I know this is super cheeky, but I have a half finished Lanarch. Like, how would you feel about finishing off for me? And of course I paid her. And so she finished it. So it's all done. I've had it honestly for the best part of a month, and I've had the zip just sitting waiting, and this morning I was like, I'm finally going to film. Let me go and put the zipper in, and the zip is so nice. I get the zippers from... Oh, actually, I probably missed a stitch there. Rito Hobby. There's a little bit where I feel like I can see more zipper than I want to see. I did a bad job with the zip installation. What's catching there? I feel like the zip... Oh, I definitely have done a bad job with the zip installation. There's something just catching. Is it my stitch or is it the yarn? Does that sound good, does it? Oh, there we go. I think it's just a sticky zip. There's nothing catching in it. It's just a... Oh, I've still got a... I went to the shops and everything today and there's still a pin in it. That's it fully zipped up. And yeah, I just think the gold hardware is so cool. I think it just looked really fresh and crispy. But oh geez, yeah. The zip is... I guess because it's the gold zip, it's a bit chunkier and it's just not going through quite as smoothly as I would like. Honestly, I probably would have wear it open. But that's okay. So there we go. I get the zippers from Rito Hobby. I've had no issues with one in the past, but possibly this one is one that's going to stump me. So it's really fun. I'm really excited to wear it. It's pretty heavy, this one. My original Lanarch is knit in Kent TK from Bare Naked Wools. It's so expensive. And it does pill. But it's lovely, and it's a very open, airy fabric, so I find that like I can wear that in a lot of a lot of weather conditions. This one is, I'd be curious to know if it genuinely weighs more. It feels like it must weigh more. It's definitely denser, and I wore it outside today to go to get groceries, and it's a sunny day, but it's only 13 degrees, and by the time I got home I was sweating. So it's definitely not going to be a three season sweater, probably just like a colder day sweater, which I am completely fine with because I live somewhere with colder days. One last fun fact about this yarn is that I was gifted this by Mega from Skeins of Dreams so long ago. We did a yarn swap and she got me some of this yarn and I didn't have all of it, so when I went to Rhinebeck 2 years ago, I think I got her to I ordered some more of the yarn to her house and then she brought it to Rhinebeck, and now it's all done. So, very sweet story. And another Lanarch in my collection, which means I now have, let's see, I've got a stockinette, I've got my original brown, I've got a red one, which I think I need to de-stash because it's too big for me, and I'm not wearing it. I've barely ever worn it. It looks so good, but it's just turned out a little bit too big. I've got my original brown one, which actually has a hole on the arm I had to repair. I've got my beige version, I've got my stripy version, and I've got my orange version. So I now have 5 Lanarchs. And I'll have at least one more before the stockinette version comes out. Which is quite a lot of Lanarchs to have. But I'm excited for the stockinette version. Because I've worn that one, the orange one, a lot. Which has been really nice. Okay, that's all for my finished objects. Let's talk about my works in progress. And I only have one work in progress that I can show you. So let me talk about this one, and then let me talk about what the heck is going on. So as I said with this, my plan was to do a raglan version, but I actually decided I don't want to do a raglan version because it didn't quite work out. But I wanted to offer more options in the pattern. Specifically, I wanted to offer something for people who didn't want to do stockinette in the round. So there will be a drop shoulder version, and then there will also be a set and sleeve version. So the set and sleeve version has the argyle at the bottom. Oh, it looks so good. I just finished the body on this on Wednesday, I think. What's today, Friday? Yeah, not yesterday, the day before. It's not been blocked, but I think it just looks so lovely. I love these colours so much. So it does have a steek down the middle. Here's the plan. The plan is to have the drop shoulder version, then there will be a set and sleeve version. The set and sleeve version will have instructions for a vest and a cardigan, and the vest and cardigan will be either round neck like we have here or a v-neck. There will then be options for sleeves. So you could have, let me run through this, you can have a drop shoulder version as I'm wearing it, you can have a cardigan v-neck, cardigan round neck, vest v-neck, vest round neck. There will also be the option to steek or not steek. So if you want it to be open, like a cardigan with buttons, that will be cut open and add a button band, but you could leave the vest. I'm explaining this terribly. Okay, version 1, as worn. Version 2, round neck. Now, what you could do with this is you could just add you could just add cuffs here and not sleeves and make this a vest. And this version has got the steek stitches, so I'm going to cut this open and it's going to be button up the front. But I could also not have the steek and have this pattern go all the way around and be either a sweater or a vest with no buttons. So it will be quite a lot of variants ultimately, because of course it will be. It will be a drop shoulder, it will be a v-neck cardigan, it will be a round neck cardigan, it will be a v-neck sweater, a v-neck vest, a round neck vest, and then technically you could add the buttons or not the button. You could have it open or shut, so it could be a sweater. No idea if that's clear or not. I'm a little excited because it's not the first time I've steeked the design. I have a vest that is steeked, but it's such a small part of the design. You're just steeking, it's one that came in a magazine in the Journal of Scottish Yarns a few years ago. And there's a little bit of steeking in that, but it's not the bulk of the design. But for this, there's a big old steek in the middle, which I'm excited about, but also a little bit nervous for. But I'm using pretty rustic yarn, so I'm not super worried. I chose to do the neckline shaping and then only join the steek under the arms. So this part is done normal. That's just because I think it'll be easier to do the v-neck and round neck explanation like this. And then I chose to end the steek before I did the ribbing. So the ribbing is also loose. So next up is the sleeves. I'm trying to finish a sleeve on something else today, but I'd like to get the short row shaping done. I just really want to wear this. I want this to be worn, but it's not a super duper priority, and I really need to get the pattern written this weekend and sent off for grading, because I will not be grading this one myself. So it's a little bit of a push, but also I'm just so excited. I just want it. I want it and I want to wear it. Like black jeans, a little white t-shirt. Oh, it's gonna be so good. The yarns I'm using, the red is also, I don't think the red's in here. Oh, but it's up there on the windowsill. Oh. I'm using Tynn Pure Gynt again. So that's a good way of knowing. I bought 2 of each of these and I used less than 1 of each. So what is this? 200 meters? Maybe 205? Where did I get 205 from? Did I make that up? That's 205 meters. If the space in my brain was not consumed by yarn information, there'd be so much space for other things. So the Tynn Pure Gynt is 205 meters and then the Mohair is 250, so I must have used about 200 meters or a little less than that. And then there's beautiful like cranberry red. I want a sweater in this colour. I just saw a yarn dyer, an Edinburgh based yarn dyer is doing a pre-order for some of this, and I'm so tempted to buy some, but I have so much yarn so I should not. And then the main yarn is kind of interesting. So long ago I ordered some yarn from Fibre Tales. I can't actually remember Fibre Tales' first name, but Fibre Tales is a designer based somewhere in the north. I really should have checked all this before I started filming, but I can't remember. She's a wonderful designer, has like the Grow socks and the Grow shawl, which I think are very well known. And it's been so long since I ordered it that I don't really know the answer, but I know that her parents had sheep, or like there were sheep close to her parents' house, and she had that spun and then she sold that yarn. And I, years ago, bought 4 skeins of that yarn, and it is a 4-ply 100% wool yarn. Which is a lot. Like I bought like, what is that, 1600 meters? And this is a year. I think this is only my 2nd skein, and it's still got a lot on it. I guess for the colour work that makes sense. So it's a little nondescript, but it's a 4-ply. I'm always a bit hesitant to use yarn, especially now, to use yarn that you can't then like replicate or get more of, but I decided that this is fine because I'm holding it with a yarn you can readily access. I was so tempted just to order grey yarn, and I told myself, like, don't order grey yarn, you've already got some, like use what you have. So that's what I'm doing. The mohair I bought to go with a different yarn, but it actually is a pretty perfect match. And I'm having a great time. And also it's so woolly, that yarn, that I think it will steek well, which is nice. So yeah, ideally I'd love to have 2 sleeves next week. I think it will be unlikely next week, but I feel like the week after next I should have this finished. Like 1 sleeve next week. If I could, maybe like next week, if I could do 1 sleeve and then the sleeve cap of the other one. And the following week I can finish that sleeve, button bands. And I actually think I steeked once before and I picked up for the button bands first and then did the steek, and I felt that quite reassuring, and I'll probably do that again. I don't think it makes any difference to the knitting experience, but I think it makes me feel better about it. And I think I will sewing machine, because that's what I did last time and it worked very well. So there we go. Oh, I love it so much. And then I've got a vest in it, a v-neck vest, which I think is going to be brown with white. I've got the yarn. I'm nowhere near casting on, but I've got the yarn, so that's fine. The colour work on this one took me so much longer, I think because I've got so much other stuff on the go right now. I feel like I've got so many projects right now that it's not making, everything's taking 5 times longer because there are 5 times as many projects. And on that note, why have I not been here? And what is going on? If you're on Instagram, you may have already seen this, but the very exciting news is that I'm working on a book. I signed the deal this week. I signed it on Wednesday, and the book is due for release late 2026, and it will be with Lana Publishing. Da, 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 da! So it's been a cool process. I've actually been filming the process, so there will, at some point when the book gets closer to being done, be a whole video start to finish of the whole thing. And something exciting about that is that I actually submitted the proposal in April, and I was probably working on it from like early February. So I was working on the proposal for February and for March, submitted in April. Lana have just been really, really busy. They've had, I think they've been like short member of staff over the summer, so they were a little bit all over the place. I was a little bit all over the place. I then had to sketch and swatch everything, and then I sent it off to them, and this week I signed the contract. It's very exciting. It's inspired by the Scottish coasts, so it is very fisherman core. I can't remember how I worded it the other day, but sweaters to be loved and lived in, like very rustic, cozy, real heritage type knitwear that can get passed in generations. Very timeless. I'm really excited. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited because I've been thinking about these designs since February, and now some of them are on my needles, and that is just really fun. So what I can't do is tell you about all the designs, but what I have done is I've collected this box beside me of so far all the yarns that I have are cast on or I'm planning to use in the book. Now the book has 18 patterns. I think that's 12 garments and 4 accessories. This is not all of the yarn. There's some that I have landed on but not ordered the yarn for, just because the schedule is quite long. I'm working on the samples for the next like 6 months ultimately, and so I didn't want to overwhelm myself with getting everything, and I also want to leave myself a bit of flexibility to change my mind. But these are the yarns which I've already got, and I thought I would share some of them with you. Some of these are already on my needles. So what have I got? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 projects worth. So not even half of what I'm planning to use, but a nice insight into what some of the stuff is going to be. I originally wanted to do all Scottish yarn, but Lina very accurately pointed out that with tariffs in the US and even with Brexit, that could be quite hard to access. And would I consider some European and some US options, or like North American options? And so I've done that, but I still have a lot of Scottish yarn. So let me start with the Scottish yarns. This is the one which is so nice. The first time I've worked with this and it has been lovely. This is the one which was about to be, hopefully will be finished today in this colour, which is very exciting. This is JC Rennie. They are a dyer, not a dyer, they're a mill here in Scotland, and they have a variety of yarns for hand knitting and machine knitting. And it's actually, I don't know if I've changed or if the yarn is a little different or if it varies per colour. The first time I touched this yarn, I remember thinking it was so greasy, and it is definitely a greasier yarn. It has a lot of spinning oil on it. This is in the colour Tudor, which is a really beautiful rich red, and this is super soft 4-ply. It comes in 246 metre balls. Now I'm holding this double for a DK weight project, and it's just this beautiful like rich red. I think it's going to change a lot with blocking, and I think I'll be blocking this with some dish soap to really get rid of that oil on it. And hopefully that'll be today, or at least this weekend. Very excited for that one. Okay, next up we also have did I say it? Yeah, I did the Scottish ones first. This yarn, I actually got some of this as a possible Afric to use in the Afric, so I had some of this around to swatch with. This is Jameson's. So there are two Shetland based yarn producers. There's Jameson's and Smith and Jameson's. This is Jameson's, not Jameson's and Smith. So this is it is beautiful. It is called Shetland Heather. 100% pure Shetland wool, grown and spun on the Shetland Isles of Scotland. And honestly, I could probably do a whole book with yarns from just Shetland because there's so many good ones and such good colours. This is 92 metres per 100 grams. So pretty chunky, like what's that, 184 per 100. It's so nice. It's very soft. It's softer than any of the other of their yarns that I've tried. And this is the colour Ivory, and it's got this beautiful, it's quite a blue light coming in my window. It's got a very subtle, almost like a red or a pink tinge to it, which makes it very warm. This is a textured knit. This one I'm also very excited for. This will be the one that's going to be hardest not to wear, I think, because I just want to wear it all the time. And of course, there could be no book with Scottish yarns without including my favourite Scottish yarn, Kinross 4-ply. I'm on the fence as to whether this is going to be a pattern with a 4-ply held double or single. I'm erring towards single, and if it is single, it'll be my only 4-ply project in the book. Everything else is sport and up. So I've got my main colour is going to be this. This is actually for an accessory. This is Granite. And then my contrast colours are definitely Mary Saltire. Yeah. And I don't remember what the yellow one's called. Is it Gorse? No, Mustard. And then I may also be adding Snowdrop. I'm a little bit undecided on the white. But that is my... Is Granite what I meant to use? Or will I use lighter grey? I thought I was going to use lighter grey, but evidently not. So... here we go. I'm holding off on casting these on until I go to the Netherlands. I am going to the Netherlands last weekend in November for like a friend weekend with some of my Dutch friends. I'm so excited. I'm getting the train there from Edinburgh, so it's two like 4-hour train journeys. Lots of knitting on the way there and the way back. So I think it'll be like, that's already what, like 16 hours of knitting? Plus a weekend there. So I'll be planning to take quite a lot of yarn, but I don't want to be taking too much stuff. So I'm saving some accessories for there. And if this is going to be 4-ply, then I think casting this on will be perfect. Fairly like, not quite mindless, but definitely something I could do in like company and with a group. So I think this will be perfect. And that wraps up my Scottish yarn for now. I have at least 2 more Scottish yarns planned. They're coming out later. It's very funny because I think not necessarily the most stressful part, but one of the challenging parts is planning out sample knitting for 18 designs. And what I'm planning to do is have some of my other designs sample knit. So for example, my second stockinette Lanark, I will be having sample knit. I think probably my second Ariandel will be sample knit. things which I've already knit one of, but that I'd like to, and I'm confident in letting somebody else take that over, that'll be sample knit, but I'd like to knit all the book samples myself. So planning out how to knit 18 patterns by mid-spring has been interesting, and then also planning the test knits. So I'll come back to the test knits after this, but that's on my Scottish yarn. Let's go European next. I think I have all the European yarn I'm planning to use. This is not the colour, I've got this in 2 colours, and I don't think this is the colour I'm going to use, but I think the other one must be with the project, and I can't find the project anywhere. It's Mondim. If you know Mondim, then you will probably know what this project's going to be. This is a Portuguese wool from Retrosaria Rosa Pomar. It's a non-superwash sock weight wool, and it's for socks. I have a red, almost this colour actually, which I'm planning to use I think as well instead actually, but I have not found it yet. Well, it must be in a project bag somewhere. So yeah, I've used this before. I don't make a whole lot of socks, but I actually realised I've got a hole in them now. My most worn pair of personal socks that I'm not gifted are in Mondim, and I may still use there might be 2 samples of this, and I might still use another yarn. I've just not decided yet. This will also be coming on my trip to the Netherlands, I think, because again, 4-ply means less yarn to carry. It would not be a Creabea project at this point without some Rauma, because it's taken over my whole heart. So I'm using a Rauma Fibre, and this is what I used for the staffing projects. Love this yarn, really like this yarn. It is an Aran weight, it's 100 meters per 50 grams. It's in this, is it called marine blue, this blue? It's not actually says it on the label. It's a very, very, very dark navy. There we go, you can see it quite well there. Holds texture really well, and also knits up plain really well. Love this yarn. It's currently on my needles. Cast that one on this week, and I'm really, really enjoying knitting with this. I was on the fence with 2 different blues, so I ordered a lot of this yarn and then decided which one I wanted once it arrived. My second European yarn is something I've also used before, which I picked up Wednesday, from the Fibre yard, which is quite close to me. It's a newish yarn shop in Edinburgh, and it is De Rare Natura Ulysse. This is a sport weight yarn, really good for colour work. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Not the colours I was going to get, so I walked in the shop and I just fell in love with them both. This is, I'm sure the colours have got cool names, but I can't see, maybe they're not on. Oh yes, this is Edable, which is, does that mean truth, or am I talking nonsense? Or the ground maybe. And then this is Nuit, as in night, and it is showing up a very rich blue. It's actually almost a petrol, and what I love about this is it's got little flecks of an orange in it, which are very similar in colour to this. So I feel like both of these are coming out a little flat. Excited for these. Need to do some swatching with those before I cast on anything bigger. And then one more European yarn, which I've never used before. This yarn is from Stolen Stitches, which is a Irish company. It is spun by Donegal Yarns in Donegal. It's 60% fine Irish wool and 40% New Zealand wool, and it is called Blasta. Blasta is Gaelic, well it's Scots Gaelic, and I presume might also be Irish Gaelic for tasty. So as I said, I've not used it before. There's a possibility that I knit with this and decide that I don't want this in the book, but right now I know which project it's planned for. Like it's planned out. I have not even so much as swatched with it yet. It is 212 meters per 100 grams, so it's a relatively heavy DK weight, and hopefully it holds texture well. Its approximate gauge is 20 stitches and 28 rows. It's in the colour Liath. No idea what that means, but it's a beautiful, almost blue-grey. Yeah, it's a really nice grey colour. It's got an interesting depth to it. All the yarns I have decided to purchase myself. I think there's an option, I guess. I could have gone down the route of getting yarns provided, given that it's for a book, and I would have made the margins on the book higher. But I've kind of landed now that I don't really want to do collaborations unless I just don't really want to do them. I like I've done them in the past, and like for example when I work with Explorer Knits, I love that. Like I really like Ali, I like how she works, I love what she does. It was really fun to do that together. I would probably work with her again. But I feel like there's something about, I change my mind a lot. I swatch a lot, I change my mind a lot. I would hate to say yes to yarn and then let someone down by not using it. And I like to do samples and different things because I want people to know that they don't have to use the recommended yarn. And that kind of undermines the reason of providing yarn to me as a dyer. So I've decided to, all the yarns so far has been purchased. Nothing has been gifted, and I don't think anything will be gifted. One more yarn to show, one of, I think, 2, possibly 3 North American yarns. And it's exciting because I wanted to work with this and it was out of stock, and then it came back in stock. So whilst I'm not going to cast this on for a little while, I have already bought the yarn. It is Peace Fleece. So this is spun in New Hampshire. It's spun, I believe, at the same place as the Harrisville Designs yarn is spun because it came in a Harrisville Designs box. It's in this beautiful colour called, okay, so the label says Kamchatka Sea Moss, and I don't know if Kamchatka is the Navajo word for sea moss or if it's called Kamchatka Sea Moss. I don't know. It is 50% Navajo Rambouillet, 30% domestic fine wool and 20% mohair. Suggested gauge is 20 to 24 stitches. I think it'll probably come in around 22. 175 yards to 50 grams. It's stunning. It's so pretty. Do I have enough of this? I'm totally panicking. I don't have enough yarn. I think I bought 10. I'll check in a second. And it's this very cool, like very vibrant, fun greeny blue. It's more green than it's showing up, I think. Peace Fleece is a cool story if you don't know about it. They founded, I think in the 50s? I don't think it was as early as the 50s, I think I'm talking nonsense. They had a farm in Maine, and the threat of Cold War was very prevalent. People were very worried about possible nuclear war from between the US and Russia. And so one of the duo behind Peace Fleece went to Russia, bought a big load of Russian wool, brought it back to the US, spun it together with US wool, and then it became Peace Fleece, the first version, which was a little like sort of tokenistic of like, tokenistic sounds negative, I don't mean that, representative of the blending and the coming together and the peace that could exist between these two nations. Since then they've worked with a bunch of other countries, like sourcing yarn from a lot of very different places, Central Europe, Central Asia, the Middle East, and now they work with the Navajo tribe more closely. Now I've not done a whole lot of more reading into them more recently, so I know that there's been quite a shift into working with the Navajo people, but I'm not really sure what that story looks like now. And so that's where it comes from now. So it was quite important to me, if I'm going to use US yarns, I really wanted to use something that had like a nice story to it, and I like the fact that I'm still going like a little coastal, a little bit. At least Maine was like the OG. I feel like the vibes of the book are, whilst they're very much Scottish coast, I feel like they could also be like Maine, they could even be a little bit Pacific Northwest. That's the kind of like, it's very similar. Newfoundland. Yes. So it's actually quite pleasing. I've not seen all these together before. They've all just been in random bags, and I had to tidy this office today so I had place to film. But I guess it's the first time I've really seen them, and I think this is a pretty accurate representation of sort of the palette of the book, which I really like. A lot of primary colours, a lot of blues, more blues than I'm used to. So yeah, that is the book. So not a whole lot I can say right now about it other than that I'm going to be working on it. Something I was kind of struggling with is working out what on earth I do about the podcast whilst I'm filming the book. Because as we see today, I've only currently got one whip that's not a book whip. I have 4 whips in total, but the other 3 are part of the book. So I'm going to be coming and still talking. I just needed some time to plan out what that would look like, and I'm just going to have some other things to share. I want to make sure I'm still making content and I can share with you when the charity pattern goes live this year. And there might still be like a monthly podcast if I've got, that's still a bit TBD on whether or not I have enough to share. Because it's possible that I will only have like a finished object that I can actually talk about every 6 or 8 weeks or something. Hopefully not, but we'll see. But there's lots of other stuff going on. I have got a a lot of sweaters up there, and the problem right now is that those shelves are full and I have maybe 20 sweaters behind the camera I need to go on those shelves. So there will be a bit of a sweater organisation de-stash happening. There'll be a little bit of vlogging, a little bit of everything else. So I hope you stick around. There will be like full regular podcast normalcy happening once my samples are done, but it's just a little bit of a change in pace whilst I'm doing that because everything's a little hush hush. But yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I promise after this I will stop talking about it until it's closer to the time, because I can imagine it being incredibly boring for me to talk about it and then be like, but it's not coming till November next year. But right now it's all very exciting, and we're actually going to have a little celebration tonight. I got some fizz a little while ago, we're going to have that and just have a little celebration for it all currently wrapping up and like the book being actually a book now, which is very cool. Yay! So I think that's all for me. I will be back in a couple of weeks. Probably, I think my sweaters is the next thing that I have to tackle because I'm running out of space hard and fast. If there's anything you really don't want to miss, I would suggest signing up for the newsletter. I don't send a lot of newsletters. I only send them when I've got a pattern release, and I have now lined up my pattern releases with test calls, so like all of that goes out in one email approximately once a month. There will be 2 in November because I've got 2 patterns coming out in November. The test knits for the book, there will be test knits for the book. I'm really going to scale the test knits back. Right now I usually have 3 people from most sizes. Sometimes the most popular sizes like 3 and 4, I have a couple of extra people test knit for them. So my test groups per pattern are usually 30 to 40 people. I will be running test knits concurrently, and so I think that's too big of a group for me to manage. So I think I'll be running smaller test knit groups, probably just 2 per size. And it'll be a little, of course, once you're in the test knit group, you will fully see what the garment looks like, and if you decide you don't want to knit it, you can leave the group, I guess. But there'll be sketches and swatches in the test application form, and I'm going to batch them. So there'll be 4 test calls at the end of November, 4 at the end of December, 4 at the end of January, and 4 at the end of February. And that is because all the patterns have to be in by June, fully written, fully tech edited, fully tested, and because I want to still make sure everyone's getting 14 weeks to test. So they're big long test knits, but they're a little spaced out. So it's going to be a lot, but I'm feeling excited about it. And some of the patterns are already done, which is also pretty cool. So yeah, newsletter's a great place to stay in touch if there's anything else you want to see going on. I don't think I've got much else to say. Loads of yarn. I'm currently, there's just too much yarn and too many sweaters happening in this room because I've ordered, well, not quite 18 patterns worth of yarn, but not far off of it in the last few weeks. And yeah, with that, I'm gonna go. I've really enjoyed catching up. I'm sorry that it's been so long. I'll be back in a few weeks with something, probably sweater talk, and until then, happy knitting. Bye!